Sport, like many industries, was heavily disrupted by COVID-19. But what is next for the sport industry? And how might long-term trends fundamentally change how sport is consumed, delivered, and managed in this country? I'm Adam Karg, an Associate Professor and Director of the Sport Innovation Research Group at Swinburne University of Technology. In late 2020, we undertook discussions with dozens of sport executives and leaders about their learnings from the pandemic-induced effects of 2020. At a time now where Australia is arguably seen to be leading the global sport industry from this phase of COVID, we reflect on three key areas: leadership, collaboration, and technology and digital, as well as their role in sport organisations and the industry recovery. Let's start with leadership, and 2020 showed us that successful leaders were able to change. They won't hesitate to create new norms, support decision makers in different ways, and adjust to remote leadership. While this may seem common for a number of organisations and sectors globally, it's particularly transformative for a sports system which had demonstrated previously a hyper-conservative approach to change. Moving forward, organisations will change. They'll be led in new ways, and in particular, Australia's sport leaders will be watched as they develop lessons not only for our region, but globally. It's therefore important that the crisis is not wasted and that leaders can look back on 2020 as an accelerator for sport, our organisations, and their practices. Secondly, collaboration was a welcome trend over 2020. Leaders and organisations communicated more, they shared more information, and they formed and strengthened partnerships, largely as a result of the uncertainty in the industry. Continuation of these practices opens the door to improved systems, more efficiencies, and for the right partners to thrive in the sport ecosystem. Thirdly, digital practices, where sport joined the many industries globally where practices transformed during the pandemic. Among the many digital examples, we saw new ways for athletes and coaches to work together. We as consumers found new ways to watch sport and develop rituals, and new ways to interact with teams and athletes that we supported. Of course, sponsors and broadcasters found new ways to play a role in our media and our at-home experiences. So as per many industries, sport had examples of thinking and acting differently. But as important as the online fan engagement platforms and digital coaching platforms that emerged, arguably the most critical learning was the way that organisations were able to make things happen. Quicker decision making, higher risk tolerance, and more agile and flexible thinking towards digital. Such approaches are exactly what is needed as we seek to build sports capacity via greater data practices and technologies like artificial intelligence and blockchain, things that can truly lead us towards the next era of sport. So what then for the industry moving forward? The immediate impact is that sport in 2021 will need to work with less staff and less resources. In short, they're being asked to do more with less. This means a focus on core business, or a focus on a smaller number of key areas. Within this though, it's important that we don't lose the important focus on social leadership and the outcomes in education, equality, diversity and community that sport can deliver. Equally important is how sport organisations consider these themes: leadership, collaboration and digital practices, and ensure they're central in their rebuilding of capacity and organisations in the next 3 to 5 years. We saw in 2020 that sport is critically important for Australians and will remain at its core a public good. It's a service we can enjoy, a tool for physical and mental health, for social connection and enjoyment. Certainly this is the start of a challenging time for sport, and it will be seen ultimately as one that is either disruption on the way back to business as usual, or ideally as an accelerator towards new forms of leadership, better collaboration and a more digital and efficient future.